Hello, good evening, and welcome to Psychic Talk with Priscilla Gendron. I'm your host, Priscilla Gendron, and welcome from a quite warm and sunny Durban for a change. So our weather has been crazy here, so I take all the sunshine when I can get it. And joining me today is an amazing friend and colleague who has had the most incredible journey in life and is a wonderful coach and healer and has helped so many people to realign their lives and their purpose. And so it's my great honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Maddie Gomes. Welcome, Maddie.
Thank you, Priscilla. It's quite an honor to be here. It's lovely speaking to you and to be on your show.
I'm just so thrilled that you're here, because I think that, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is quite prevalent in the sense of, like, there's so many people going through what we're going to be talking about. And so hoping that we will be able to give them little pearls of wisdom about how to actually realign their lives and with their purpose, in a sense. So maybe just for people that don't really know who you are and what you're all about, maybe you'd like to just tell people how you got to this point, what took you on this journey, in a sense.
I was a director of a very successful company in Durban, my own business for a long time. But during that time, I experienced quite a couple of, I would call it, dark night of my souls. And the first one happened when, shortly after I started my business, my brother passed away. And 2 years later, my husband passed away. And this shook me up because I didn't expect it. Not that we ever expected, but I didn't expect it. And it just happened in such a terrible way that I wasn't only suffering from the shock of watching him, how he died, but also the shock of the death of my husband. And this put me into delayed shock. 9 months later, I lost my memory and I couldn't function properly. I lost my health, and I knew nothing about spirituality or healing or anything of that. I was pure business. But when I grew up as a very small child, I could see on the other side. I could speak to people who died. I knew when they're going to die. So I knew there was something in me that's dormant, and I wanted to meet that. So one night I sat at the table in the kitchen, feeling very sad and lost and overwhelmed with my circumstances. And I said, God, who am I? I need to know, who am I? I'm not the director of a company, although I am. But I knew deep down in me, there's more in me than just that. And that is when that's when the door with your name on in heaven opens. When you're so desperate, you're on your knees, you strip down to nothing and you say, God, who am I? And my life started to change right there. And I started to meet chronic healers on my way to help me and assist me to heal. I met amazing people on my way that introduced me to holistic healing and the connection between mind, body, and soul. And we just lost Priscilla. Our electricity is a problem in South Africa at the moment. We just came out of a power cut, and Priscilla's experiencing connection problems on her side. So we will just wait for a minute for her. But anyway, my journey started there. And that's one night I sat there and I said, I need to study. I need to do something with my life. I want to help other people. And I want to bring forth my purpose. I wanted to know, who am I? And what am I going to do about it? And I was on the computer scrolling around and trying to find a course that I could do or information I could find. And that's why when I stumbled upon metaphysical science and I read about it, and I realized that all the books in my study is about metaphysical science. It's about science. It's about the connection between the mind, the body, and the soul. and how to embody it and how to awaken to who I am. Are you back, Priscilla? We lost you for a moment. Can you hear me? Priscilla, can you hear me? Ah, you're back. Priscilla, are you back? Are you back? Yes, you're back. Can you hear me? Priscilla, can you hear me? Priscilla's got connection problems on his side.
Yes.
Ah, you're back.
I am. Yeah, I know. Sorry, the internet has just been.
No problem. It can happen to me anytime, you know. And she lost her connection again. So while we're waiting for Priscilla, let me answer her questions. So this is when my journey really started, seeking me, trying to find out who I am, what my purpose is, and what I am supposed to do in this lifetime. It was quite a journey because I had to let go of the old me as I knew me. And I had to go on that journey of learning again from scratch, learning healing, learning the connection between mind, body, and soul, and studying metaphysical science through the university in the USA. And that's how I became a healer, a spiritual teacher, a mindset alchemist, and a speaker and an author. It was not an easy journey, but it was absolutely worth it. And that's why I teach others how to step into their purpose and realign themselves, awaken to who they truly are, and align themselves with their purpose. Because it just makes so much more sense to be who you are in your purpose than trying to be just a job description at the end of the day. I see you back, Priscilla. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry
Yes.
about that. I got kicked out and came back in and got kicked out and came back in. So if it happens again, just keep talking. I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if it happens again and you see me, I disappear, just keep talking.
I will. I did.
The joys
I
of
will.
the joys of internet and the joys of social media and things like that. So we have to completely just, so so just keep chatting. If you don't see me, just keep chatting.
I will.
So I know you've got a lot to say, and I know you're very knowledgeable, and you definitely have a plethora of knowledge. Now, among what some of the things you are a life coach, or like a professional, coach that helps people.
I am. I'm very passionate about combining all my skills. So I understand the business world deeply, and I understand what's necessary to be successful in business, but I also understand what it takes from a person to actually realign themselves with who they are, because that drives the skill set, and you need the emotional intelligence of understanding your confidence levels, understanding, because that feeds your willpower at the end of the day. So you need to understand who you are ultimately to bring that forth in any job description that you fill. And that's why I'm quite passionate about helping professional people stepping into their purpose, and then they do amazingly well. But I also work with various other people. I worked with women in refugee camps for 2 years. I worked with students in Ghana. I worked with entrepreneurs in South Africa and Khayelitsha, and here in Cape Town. I worked with leaders in Tanzania and in France. So I had quite a mix of people that approached me and asked for assistance, and that I helped to get through either high levels of anxiety or coping with trauma and getting through trauma, because I wrote a program called I Am Possible, which is helping people to get through their trauma and basically redesign who they want to become and heal their past and the blockages that their trauma in the past caused. Even not only trauma, but our mindset and our conditioning of who we believe we are and the way we think can block us from moving forward, because it's outdated. It's not suitable for where we are at the moment. It's not serving us. So I work with people from all sorts of life, everywhere in life, and depending on what their problem is. I love healing and finding. I work absolutely on the root of the problem, identify the root, heal the root, change the pattern of behavior so that they can get a better outcome. But mostly, people need to understand themselves, because, this is human nature. If we understand the core of our problem, we can actually identify it and change it. But if we don't understand something, we don't buy into it. So that's why I love healing, because it's permanent. When we identify that root and we heal that root, we change the patterns and they can understand what happened to them at the core of it. It's a permanent change. We don't go back. And I walk that path myself, so I know it works.
So it's like a tried and tested path.
Everything I teach and do, I had to experience. Every single thing. So I don't teach or do anything that I didn't experience in life to heal myself and get myself to from where I was to where I'm now.
Yes. My favorite saying is, we teach best what we need to learn. So
I think if we are chosen to be teachers and healers in life, then you are in life school and you have to learn what you're going to need to teach and heal. And healers and teachers teach different things. It's not the same for all healers, all teachers. We all are imprinted. It was shown to me that we are all imprinted with our own pattern, with our own symbol, and what we have to do that's uniquely special to ask it to you as a person, not to somebody else, not to do what other people do, but uniquely you. So you can be a healer and a teacher and a psychic. I'm a healer, teacher, psychic, but we work differently. We've got different imprints and divine gifts that we need to use, basically.
Very much so. And I know we've known each other for several years now, and I know that you have taken to writing and to putting all your knowledge into a book. So would you like to just tell me a little bit about the book? Because I know that it sort of came at you and it came with all this inspiration, and it was like a complete download.
It came to me. I sat here and I knew for a while that I need to write a book, that I need to write books, because I love writing and I write articles on LinkedIn and it just comes through me. So it's very easy, very straightforward. I just love it when I sit, and before I know it, and half an hour later, whole article's written and people get back to me and they say, wow, this is amazing. So I've had this message in me for a while that I need to write my book and I need to write the book. And you know how we are. I put it off and I put it off and I put it off. And it became, Priscilla, it became something that I could not stop. It was like some divine being was taking me and put me in front of the computer. And I literally wrote a book in 3 days. And then this book happened and I tweaked it a bit, went back to it. We overanalyze things instead of just leaving it as it is, because it was divinely given and so on. But I wasn't happy with the name that I gave it, and I cannot even remember what the name was, because it happened so quickly. And I sat in front of my son's computer, because he's got 2 big screens. And keep on saying to him the whole day, I said, I'm not happy with the title. I'm not happy with the title. And he says, Ma, then you need to change it, because you keep on saying it. Obviously, it's worrying you. So I went onto Google and I want to put the title in in the Google search to see what comes up if I put that title in. And the next minute, we both watched it, and the computer just started to type a title. And my son looked at it, I looked at it, and I said, listen, I know about the wonders and the signs and the miracles in life.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sign and a wonder that we're watching now. And I'm just going to take the title as it is because it's now been given to me. And then the title was given, it's a blueprint guide to embracing radiance, a journey to self-discovery and empowerment. So be the conscious co-creator of your purposeful destiny. Now that piece was part of the original title, but the blueprint guide to embracing radiance and the journey to self-discovery and empowerment was not. And that was just amazing because it's exactly what this book is about. It's about discovering who you are. It's a lot of my business knowledge that's coming through, spiritual knowledge, mindset, alchemy, taking you on a journey of discovering you are already full of skills, full of strengths. You already have a passion. And, when we're small, we actually know what we want to become because we have no filters. So whatever kids say when they're small, say, I want to become a doctor or I want to become this. Take it seriously because they don't have the filters to interfere, to overanalyze it. We are the ones who say, oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Or I don't think that's good for you. Whatever we say, that's stopping the bus right there. But you know who you want to become. And then I believe when it comes to purpose is we are born with this imprint in us of who we should become. But we're on this journey that's literally teaching us life skills, business skills, every skill you need to fulfill your purpose when you reach a certain age. And I think our age, it's just up to us. When is that age? When do we accept it? Do we accept it? Or are we so bought into the society that we're living in that we feel, no, what are people going to say? If I say I'm a psychic and I'm doing this and I'm a healer, what are people going to say? Because my family, my circle's all business people, they're not into this. They're not into the hard stuff. They're not into this. And so we're scared of jumping out of that mold because of the judgment and the lack of support that we might receive, embracing your journey. But let me tell you, I actually lost everything on this journey. My home, my car, my business. It was targeted by a crime syndicate. And lots happened to me where I lost literally everything. And to get to a point where I had to surrender and say, I'm accepting. This is who I am. And that, I believe, is how we find our purpose. Pardon me. So life skills us for who we need to become. So if I would say to the people who are listening and who are part of this discussion, asking questions.
We had one of our listeners put a question on. It's okay. Is your trauma work a talking modality or a body work modality?
It is all of it. It's a body work modality, but it's a talk modality. It's counseling as well. I do spiritual counseling, but we go on a journey to discover you. So if somebody comes to me, like a client came to me and he said he oversees international client and a top executive, and he said he suffered from high levels of anxiety. So the sessions took place online. Most of the sessions are taking place online. And nobody could help him. No coach could help him. No healer could help him. No psychologist could help him. And somebody referred him to me. And I get guided in my sessions. So in the second session with him, I was just told to ask him what happened when he was 8 years old. And that started a whole new conversation. And there we actually uncovered the root of his anxiety for the rest of his life. What happened to him there was terrible, and it followed him for a couple of years. And we uncovered that root that caused his anxiety. So what I know now from the experiences and the cases that I've done, that if we experience anxiety at a young age, our body makes that level of anxiety, and then if it continues, it actually stays at that level of anxiety. It's like it's defending itself at that level of anxiety, and it thinks that is the way it should operate. But we're also highly strung then, and so we expect the worst all the time because of our experience and our emotional wound that happens through that experience. And therefore, we become highly strung. And he wanted to please one of his parents from there on and be this amazing boy, which he never got a compliment, he never got love, he never got appreciation, which increased his level of anxiety, but it made him a perfectionist because now every time he thought it's because he's not doing what he's doing good enough. He's not doing well, so he was pushing harder, harder, harder. That's why he became extremely successful in business, but emotionally, he was broken. So we must remember, we've got different bodies. So although I was extremely successful in business, my emotional body was not at the level of my business body because I experienced trauma as a child. My whole childhood was traumatic. I grew up in a domestic violent home. So unbeknown to me, and this is what I learned through my cases that I've done and worked with, is that set you up for a different type of body from different experiences where you're still caught up in that trauma body and you need to release that. You need to heal that root. You need to alchemize how the mind is seeing that pain and turn it into wisdom. And then you can find forgiveness towards the people involved in your story, the forgiveness towards yourself, and that releases you from that experience and you can move on. So needless to say, he went to the grave of that parent in the 4th session without me knowing, and he went there to forgive that person for everything that person's done to him. And that released him in such a way that the staff actually thought that he got a girlfriend because he's gentler, softer, and he just changed. But it wasn't that. He was awakening up to himself. He was finally finding him underneath the layers and layers of trauma and pain.
Absolutely fascinating. I think that everybody around the globe has had some kind of trauma in one way, shape, or form. Some more than others. So, for the newbies that are sort of stepping into that realm of trying to find their purpose and their life alignment, what sort of advice would you give them to start off their journey, in a sense? If they don't have all the tools available, what sort of tools should they sort of bring about within their lives to start their journey, in a sense?
Let me start with this. The youth, I spoke to students 2 weeks ago to college, and I also had individual sessions with students in the last month that just found me. And the parents actually found me and said they're not doing well. Can you assist them? Can you speak to them? Can you see what's wrong? Because they are failing. And of course, I asked them, are you studying what you would like to study? And the answer is yes, when I can feel it's no. And during the conversation, as we go along, they start to know me and they start to trust me, and I genuinely want to help them. And then it always comes out 99% of the times that they are not studying what they want to study. They study what the parents want to study, them to study, or they study what friends studied and it looked interesting or different. So it's not working for them. Then they find out it's not really what they want to do. But now they don't want to go home and say, you wasted your time and your money, and I don't want to study it, although they fail anyway. So what I want to say to the youth is very important. You are the future leaders of this country, and you need to become that leader. And the only way you can do it is to be you, authentically you. Don't wait like our generation when we go into our 40s and our 50s and we experience tremendous trauma that actually puts us in a space where we say, who am I? You need to start to do it now so that you can align your life as soon as you can with who you really want to become without any shame, without any embarrassment of who you should be. You just need to be who you want to be. And then you can align your skills that you actually gain with your purpose. And I see it in my son as well. He was at a crossroad now in his career, and he's 25. Wonderful, wide awake, intelligent, but yet he reached a crossroad where he got bored. We had a situation, and he thought, okay, let me take a risk here, let me take a risk there. And then the one risk didn't work out. So now he came back and he needed to find himself. And he really didn't fully wanted to go back in what he was doing, because he found another skill that excites him. Although he doesn't have years and years of experience in it, he focused on that and he found a job in that skill. And he found it with the international company. So it's also believing in yourself, although it's so difficult to believe in yourself when you are down and out and nobody else supports and believe in you. It's so difficult to believe in yourself when you battle to believe in you, when you judge yourself for your struggles to get to this point. But just keep on pushing and align yourself.
We'll put it back.
What makes you excited about what you're going to do? I get professionals who say, but they're in this job and they hate what they're doing. So I had a teacher and he got bullied by his manager and being felt and told he wasn't good enough. So somebody there in Mpumalanga knew about my work and she sent him to me. And we worked for 3-4 months last year together online. And when I showed him his special strengths and skills that he's got to work with the kids, but not only that, but how to help and identify the kids in their mindset of what they are experiencing and going through. And he can now help them to step into their I am and awaken to themselves and build confidence because they trust him. His whole career changed. He got actually headhunted after that by another school that offered him an amazing position without applying for it, just because after or while we were working together and after that, his work started to stand out in the crowd. And he did so amazing that it became visible to other schools. So it's not necessarily that you might need to leave your job. It's when you find your purpose, you can actually align what you do with your purpose, and there you can rise and shine.
And I feel like, especially in today's world, I mean, as you say, you work a lot with like, it's nice to start with the young people and get them while they're young to put them on the right path. But for like us oldies who still are trying to find our purpose or have found it and want to step into it more fully, this can also work for us as well, because it's never too late to learn new things or teach a dog new tricks, an old dog new tricks. So I feel like for you also bring that whole thing is like keep being persistent in your dream and your passion, and find your purpose and your passion and do it on purpose in a sense.
Yes. I don't take any I don't accept any invitations for talks unless it's aligned with my purpose, because I don't speak from a piece of paper, I speak from my heart. So if any talk is not aligned with my purpose, then I cannot connect with my audience and they cannot connect with me, because then I feel I'm cold and I'm just a speaker. And it's the same with my work. I only accept work aligned with my purpose, because when I'm not aligned with my purpose, it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't make me happy. It doesn't work for me. I need to be in the field that I am, where I help people to see their potential and switch their inner light on, so that they can live and lead a life of greatness. And that's just what I do. So I'm writing my second book at the moment, actually the main book, the I Am Possible, which was birthed when I went through a very, very troubled, traumatic, dark time in my life. And the only way I could find my way out of it is I had divine guidance, step by step, of how to recreate me, because the old me did not exist at that stage anymore. It just fell away. So I had no idea who I was. I had no idea where do I fit in. And this process actually showed me how to recreate it. My insights, my body, my beliefs, my behavior, and who I become consciously. And that is what I'm writing in the I Am Possible now. And it's very much aligned with faith, with healing the mind, body, and soul connection, and truly find your inner light and your purpose and your connection to your higher self and to God. And I love every moment of this book. I just can't put it down.
I think that's important. I think when we're doing something, and especially when we're writing, a lot of people have been led to do that now, to impart their knowledge or to share their life journey, in hopes that it might give a flicker of hope or passion to somebody out there, that's going to allow them to, find their own purpose or see their own light, which is important.
We don't see it because we are not programmed to see our own brilliance and our own skills and how great we are. We are programmed. We're born into a matrix where there's control right from the beginning. Our parents grew up in that matrix, and we pass it on from generation to generation. So we are not fully enlightened and awakened to who we are. And the world now changed. And with COVID, that traumatic shock that everybody collectively went through woke most people up and made them ask questions, where before we didn't ask these questions. You and I, we've been put in different situations long before this happened, where we had to ask those questions. We had no choice. And I was so ill. I remember that it was either die or I need to change. There was no other way for me. And it happened twice with me, where my circumstances were so dire that it affected my health. And where I came to a point where I sat and I said, God, you can just take me, because I can't handle this anymore. It's not me anymore. I can't do this. But then I get the most amazing answers, signs, wonders, and somehow I come through it one way or the other. And it is amazing. My first experience when I went through losses was with my brother and my husband. And I believe that was to awaken me to my purpose. It's to awaken me to start to school myself for what was coming. And therefore, I ended up pranic healing, metaphysical science, and I learned all of that. But then I thought, okay, I made it. But then at the top of my success there, my company got targeted by a crime syndicate, and I had to close my company. My whole world, as I knew it, just disappeared right in front of me. My financial security, had to leave my home with all my furniture behind. I had to move into a small cottage in Cape Town, and we went into hiding and I was bullied into a pulp for 2 years. And this is a professional group that I fought for 2 years. And the law didn't look after me and protect me. And that put me into a very, very dark place where I was angry. I was angry at everyone. I was angry at God. I thought he left me. What happened to me? And I had many, many difficult and dark experiences during that time. But When I had this conversation the one day in my car with God, and I said, listen, I'm out. Today's the day I'm out. I had enough. I can't. And this voice that I've got since tiny, it came to me one day when I was still a small child, and it's never left me, just came through me and said, okay, Marlene, let's talk. Let's discuss the situation. And it said, you've got free will. You can go if you want to. You can take time. You can take yourself out, or I will show you how to heal yourself. But then you need to teach it to others. So I sat for a moment and I said, I'm so deep in this bit, I don't even know how to get out because I do not see the ladder. And I will never forget those words. And then I call it my God voice. My God voice said to me, I will show you the ladder step by step. And guess what it was? It was the chakra system. Step by step, it showed me the root chakra. My beliefs are now outdated, so negative and so toxic from what I've experienced that I literally had to 1,000 times a day stop myself in my thought pattern and say, what are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking? Why? Stop that. And I had to make notes, and I had to go through a process to identify each and every one so that I can stop being so toxic and so negative towards myself, because I couldn't heal my life. And then when that process actually settled in and I started to feel better, and those negative dark thoughts didn't come anymore, then it was, okay, who do you want to become? So that's the creation center of what we believe we create our personalities. So who do you want to become? And that I aligned with my purpose. So I had no idea how to do it. And then one day there was a program that came up on my Facebook, I think, from overseas, and it was to find your purpose. And I did this exercise, which I now refined and made it much simpler for people. And then in this exercise, I thought it's going to say that I'm an excellent business person, because I was, but it didn't. It said, I am a compassionate healer and teacher. And then I knew I arrived with it, and now I know who I am. It was just a most amazing exercise to do. And it's in my book, actually. And then I had to rebuild my self-esteem because I lost my confidence in me, in life, in everyone. I had so much deceit, and I was fighting this war on my own. I had no support. So I had to find my confidence in myself again. I had to feel. I used to be able to walk into a room and the room would stop, and I lost that special something about me because I was so heart-sore and so broken. So I had to work on my self-confidence to actually activate my willpower so that I can start to take proper action again and start to align myself with goals and set myself up so that I can succeed in my goals. And then it showed me the most important part. And that is so amazing. I just sat there next to my bed one day, and I'm going through these processes, and it's all in my head, and I'm making notes, and all along life is going on. I was actually working at a company at that stage here in Cape Town for a year, not a very nice company. And so I was catapulted in there to help the people. And all along I'm doing this work in my own time. And then I sat and I said, okay, what's next? And then it's the heart. And I said, oh, okay, that's easy. And then it came. And I saw my Bible lying next to my bed. Always. It's like my storybook. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And I opened it. And I will never forget that day. And I opened it in Psalm 51, where it says, you need to go into the basement of your heart and you need to clean out all resentment, hatred, bitterness, judgment that holds you back, because you cannot have all those emotions in your heart, because your heart is your manifestation center. So whatever you hold in your heart, you manifest, and worse, you actually speak it in your voice. So you might be friendly when people say to you, how are you? And your face might smile. But when your voice comes through, it is going to sound angry or bitter. We cannot lie to the heart. The heart is who we are. So when I read that, I realized that I have got huge work now to do, because you cannot have love and acceptance and God in your heart and anger, bitterness, and all that. It's either the one or the other. And also, the heart is our receiving point. So the more we enlighten the heart and the more we clean it out, and we just bring light and God into our hearts, the more we are open to connect with people and we are open to receive. When we have bitterness in our heart, we close. Literally our energy center is right like a meter from us if you measure it. But when your heart is open and full of light and love, it is 9 meters out in our aura. So, and that 9 meters protect you. Then you don't need to close off your heart to protect you from future disappointments in people not hurting you. That's not the problem. It wasn't the heart's problem in the first place. The actual problem was we do not set boundaries for people and ourselves. We teach people how to treat us by allowing them to treat us a certain way. So we do not set boundaries, and it's in the boundaries that our protection is. So I've learned all of that in this section of the I Am Possible. And when I've done with the 7, it took me about 2 to 3 years to do all of that. It was quite a process. I sat on my bed that night and I said, okay, I think I'm done. I'm feeling a lot better. Everything's fine. But now I've got this program that I'm going to write, but what do I call it? I don't know what to call it. So I went to bed that night and I woke up that morning at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had this divine presence in my room. And it's between awake and sleep, not totally awake, but I just know there's a presence in my room that is so amazing, huge. And it said to me, and I've got a little notebook next to my bed, and it said, impossible. And I wrote it down and I fell asleep. So the next morning I woke up and I instantly knew something happened, and I jumped up and I grabbed my little book and I wrote there in big letters, impossible. And I said, God, I can't call this program impossible. Nobody's going to want to do the impossible. They're already in the impossible. And then that voice was back with me and it says, no, I am possible. So I've learned now more over the years since that program started, that you give your impossible over to God so that you can become I am possible. Because when you're in the impossible, we are of this world. We are of the problems. We are of the trauma. We are part of what's going on in the world. So we need to go inside and we need to become I am possible. And that is the meaning of the I Am Possible book. Absolutely beautiful. And I posted it on one of my platforms. I just wrote there, turn your impossible into I Am Possible. And that's how they found me to actually work with the women in Kenya in refugee camps, is through the I Am Possible. I taught them the I Am Possible.
It's a very powerful statement, the word that can be, moved back and stuff like that. And it's, impossible becomes I'm possible. That's quite a profound statement to start your journey. And we just recently saw a young South African guy who had one leg, and he went and performed at Britain's Got Talent. And he also said the same thing. He says, I'm here as living proof that nothing is impossible. He says, I am possible. And he fulfilled his dream, of performing live and taking his courage and his strength to that next level for himself. And I think that's what's important for all of us, is that we we dig deep inside ourselves in order to find what we're looking for, to find that possible, that light that we need to shine out into the world. It's not always easy.
Absolutely. It's very powerful, and we all have it, but we have a choice. You know, we become part of the world. We have no choice because we don't know any better. But then when we do know, or when life takes you on through the valleys of life or through the wilderness, I call it, and you stand in the wilderness, that is when, in that difficult time, you are actually losing the layers of life. You're letting go of the layers of life because that's not who you actually are until you get to the heart, until you get into that light. Now, that I've learned through my own journey, and I had a hell of a journey to get to here. It's, I think if I had to experience everything in one, I probably wouldn't be here today because it would have been way too much. Because I had a lot of resistance in me, you know, because of my background, and I am in control because I had to since the age of 7. I had to fend for myself and take care of, be a responsible child, adult. So all that roots plays a role in who we become and how resistant we become, how fearful we are of letting go, because you don't know, you have never been nurtured in such a sense where you feel safe to let go and to allow. So it's a beautiful journey. And I am that I am is God within. And what did God do? He said, let there be light. And there was light. And that light is within us. And that is the light that we all need to find and switch on, because that is amazing. And it leads you to beautiful miracles and wonders. I promise you, I still experience them daily on my path, finding my way to where I need to be, because I've lost everything. So it's not easy to do my work with no financial backup like I ever had before. You know, it's just makes it very difficult. And
Exactly.
but then that I am, and as I write the book and I go through the story again, I actually for the first time have appreciation for me, for what I've went through, because we go through stuff and it's stuff, we take it for granted, but within that stuff that we experience that pains us so much is the gift of wisdom, because that's why we go through it. So we can either hold onto the pain, and that's going to hold us back, and that is a landing strip for the devil to land and to be negative and to see the world in the darkest form,
Yes.
and to be toxic.
And we don't always have the wisdom.
Yes. So that bitterness
Yes.
gives that space to breathe that, you know. Or we can say, what's the wisdom that I'm learning from this? Embrace that wisdom and move on. So the tears that we shed when we are in the storm is basically just washing us clean.
Yes.
It's really cleansing us to get to the point where when we come through as the phoenix
Exactly.
from the ashes, giving
Maddie,
it birth to a new personality. You froze, Priscilla. Can you hear me? You back? Can you hear me? We lost Priscilla. So I can't see the questions that's been asked to answer your questions while we're waiting for Priscilla to reconnect. But what I want to say today is it's important to find to design your own blueprint and embrace your radiance. Life is so short. And I believe that the graveyard is filled with unsung songs in people's bellies, where they really never ever, they knew what they wanted to do. They have a secret passion, but they never actually stepped up and they actually honored that gift within them. And I believe we are going into a new world, and therefore we need to work on ourselves and become conscious and more positive. And we need, for the new world, we need to know our purpose, because we're all serving each other. We're here for a reason, and we're not here to make money. That's just a byproduct. We are here to serve each other, and through the service, we make the money. We create the success. And that's the new world that we are entering. So therefore, we need to be awakened to who we are, how we speak, how we communicate, how we listen to people, how we treat each other, because our words are swords. Our words create, every single word creates what we say. It's the first sound that comes out of your mouth when you speak, and when people meet you, is the word. So you must become conscious of how you speak, what you say, because that creates the world we live in.
Maddie, I want to just say a huge thank you. We can talk until the cows come home. Definitely when we get started, we can chat and chat. And I'd love to just let everybody know we will be doing a part 2 and maybe a part 3 and 4, because Maddie's got this most amazing wealth of knowledge, and it's just so wonderful to hear everything that you can impart and all the journey that you've taken, because it's just been incredible. If anybody wants to get Maddie's book, I have put the description, and it's in the description. There's a link to Amazon. So if you wanted to go in there and check out her book and purchase it, I think it's an ebook, isn't it?
Yes.
And we will endeavor to take a journey and make things possible and not impossible, because we've had an impossible today. Well, I've had to really learn to be patient and know what's possible with my internet and being kicked out of the studio 10 times. So I'm glad Maddie has got the ability to just carry on chatting and keeping the flow and energy going. So I really do thank you for that. It's really been very inspirational to know that you can keep going and keep holding the fort, as they say.
Yes, thank you, Priscilla. But
so
also,
if you'd like to just leave some. Yes, no, it's been amazing. And any sort of like final thoughts? Any final thoughts you want to just leave with everybody?
What I want to say is, at the moment, we are going through another dark period in the world, with all the fires going on and the trauma that the Mother Earth is experiencing at the moment is affecting everybody, because we are tapping into the collective feelings, emotions, and beliefs and what goes on. And every now and then I look at what's going on and my heart stops and I think, oh my word, I cannot believe it. But, this is where we need to stop, and where we rather need to change our thought pattern and say, how can we help? What can we do? Or just move forward and just be aware, be wide awake, but go in. Don't take the world out there, inside of you. Find your essence and bring you inside the world, outside you. Because people around you needs that. They need the support. They need the positivity. I gave a talk at Hirsch last week in Milnerton in Cape Town, and one lady came to me and she said, I cried. Because people, they are just in automatic mode of survival. And they need to hear that there's support for them, that you are there for them, that we are there for each other, that we're supporting each other. But also we need more positivity. The more we pray, the more we meditate, and the more positive we are during this time, the more we lift humanity. But if we fall prey to the darkness, we're going to actually sink into the darkness. Just remember that. Oh, pardon me. Priscilla, we've lost you again. We just wait for a moment for Priscilla and see if she can reconnect again. They might have sun in Durban, but they don't have signal in Durban. We have freezing cold in Cape Town, but at least our signal is behaving. So people, you are more than welcome to connect with me or connect with Priscilla if you want to connect with me. You are more than welcome to do that. If you want us to talk about more, again, about information, send us the topics that you would like to hear we talk about. You never know. We can maybe help a lot of people going through dark times at the moment. So I hand back to you, Priscilla. I see you are back.
Yes. I'm back again. I've got to keep it short and sweet now. So I want to just say thank you very much, Maddie, for joining me. And we will be back. I think we'll be doing some pre-recorded ones. So if everybody wants to send some questions either on this link or to me personally or to my WhatsApp or whatever, please feel free and we'll deal with them and dive deeper into it. So it's my great pleasure to say thank you, Maddie, for joining us and for imparting all your wonderful words of wisdom and knowledge. Thank you very much for joining us. And remember, the link in the description below is for her book. So please feel free to click on it and go and check it out. Thank you very much, Maddie. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Priscilla. Good night.